Remember this?
Hi, Caitlin. Gregg Doyel, IndyStar. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. That you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so
Okay,
it's
well,
pretty cool.
let's start doing it to me, and we'll get along just fine. So
We can all admit it was embarrassing, awkward, and not humorous in the slightest. The media member's name is Gregg Doyel, a fixture in the Indianapolis sports scene. This took place when Caitlin Clark, a new member of the Indiana Fever, was introduced. And there would be many reactions, including this.
Well, it's one of those where you can only really watch it once because you feel so much secondhand cringe watching it. And then there was a second clip where he referred to, the question was to her coach, but he referred to Caitlin Clark as like, he gave her the key. You have the keys to that. What are you going to do with it? Like, just, this is not how you talk about an adult and about a person with respect. And I feel like both of those clips just show me that not everyone is ready to treat female athletes at the highest level like they should.
That was Nicole Auerbach, a well-respected journalist, writer, and reporter in the industry. Then the news would come out about Doyle, that he'd be suspended for 2 weeks following the encounter with Clark. Bob Kravitz, another local legend, by the way, in the media game in Indianapolis, reported it came from IndyStar and Gannett. Doyle works for the Star. To add more to the outcome, Front Office Sports wrote in a statement, a spokesperson for the Star said that the columnist, Doyle, will not be covering the Indiana Fever, but that they do not comment on personnel matters. Doyle's email sent an auto response that said he was getting tired and taking time off before returning May the 13th, the same day Kravitz wrote his suspension was set to end. From the Daily Beast, Corbin Boyles, Doyle was essentially banned from covering and writing about the team following the interaction with Clark that went viral. When he put out 2 columns on the Fever, a source told Boyles it should not have ever happened and reiterated that he would not be allowed to cover the Fever.
I don't understand what he was trying to do, trying to be too cute, trying to be too much. I'm surprised. Gregg Doyel, didn't he work at Yahoo too, Chris? Where was he?
I'm not sure.
He was Rob G. Was he on at Yahoo? He was on a national platform as well.
No, he's a big time.
No, right. But I'm saying,
I've read several of his
but I'm saying
really good.
he had a national platform as well.
Yes.
It was at CBS, Chris, and wrote there, and then came back to Indianapolis. I don't know. It just felt awkward and inappropriate to me.
There was an interesting back and forth representing both sides of how the public feels about this on the Dan Le Batard show.
Okay, first of all, I'm barely a casual acquaintance of Gregg Doyel's, so this isn't me sticking up for a buddy.
He worked at our newspaper a long time ago. He started his career at the Miami Herald.
Right, as many did. Now that I think about it, what he did was cringeworthy. It was sexist. It was creepy. It was juvenile. He deserved to be suspended for a couple of weeks. He deserved that. But I don't believe what he did was a journalistic felony. I believe it was a dumb misdemeanor. But it's a felonious penalty when you tell the lead columnist in a city welcoming its new big star that he can't write about her indefinitely. I wouldn't stand for that. If the Miami Herald tried to tell me that and the role was reversed, I would use whatever leverage I have to say that's not standing with me. You need to threaten to quit. You need to make a mess of this if you need to.
You think that's a good idea? Are you crazy?
No.
You would threaten to quit the newspaper?
Yes. They can't tell me what I can cover and what I can't cover because I misspoke at an introductory press conference.
Greg, that was not
poor judgment.
That was not
poor judgment.
That was not misspeaking.
On your screens, Dan Le Batard and co-host Greg Cody.
In your mind, what should the penalty be? You're saying it should be something, just not a full season.
Okay, he's been suspended a couple of weeks without pay, I understand. I think that's perfectly fair. He's written a mea culpa column, which to me seemed reasonably sincere. I think there's contrition there. I think if it were me, I would make sure that I had a private meeting with Caitlin and apologize to her directly. And from that point
and
over,
the shame is also punishment.
The shame is punishment indeed. And from that point on, unless Caitlin Clark is so upset that she backs what's happening, if she's in a forgiving mood, I think the rest of us should be, and there should be a clean
Woof,
slate in Indianapolis.
woof. And you would threaten to quit.
Yeah,
And would you quit?
I think I would.
Pointer's Tom Jones would give his 2 cents on the matter as well. A suspension is not unheard of, but banning a sports writer from covering a particular team is unusual. I was a sports writer for more than 30 years, and I cannot think of a time when I heard of that happening. And that's exactly the point, is I have also never heard of this. Now, let's just make this very clear, because I don't want my words to be misconstrued by anybody. What Gregg Doyel did was awful. It came off as flirtatious. It came off as conducting oneself how one should not in the workplace. Whether he believes it or others believe it or not, they are technically co-workers between athlete and media member, and it was highly inappropriate. Should he learn from it? We should give him that grace period to do so. However, what I would have done, since he is one of, if not the most recognizable media member, sans Bob Kravitz, in that city, okay, I would have given him a lengthy suspension, but I would not ban him from covering the Indiana Fever. The Colts are not playing right now. They drafted, team upcoming, what have you, yeah. But the Colts are not in season. The Pacers are currently in the playoffs. And Caitlin Clark fever is hitting Indianapolis. The WNBA is on the rise. Some games are being moved to bigger arenas in order to accommodate said rise. To ban Doyle from doing this altogether, unless it comes from someone within the Fever organization, it just seems weird. And it seems off. The greater point here is that Gannett and the IndyStar seem to be doing what they can to make sure Clark isn't made to feel uncomfortable. And for that, the decision should be commended.
He once again proves what I sincerely feel like the sports media's problem is. The people on high love to say to the talent, as it were, the writer, the on-air person, the what do they call it, the forward-facing. The thing is that they so casually say, like, hey, go have some fun with that. Go, let your hair down a little bit. Like, everybody doesn't have that gear. Everybody cannot be funny. Here's what's easy to do. Who's going to win this game? To argue for Team A or Team B? That's very easy to do. What's not easy to do is to be clever around it and to be funny about it and to crack wise, but not to make the subject at whom you're addressing look like a joke or turn them into some sort of clown on any level.
If you can, please do support us here at TYT Sports. Become a channel member. Go to youtube.com/TYT Sports and click the join button, and or go to TYT.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate all the love.